Hi again, guys. We're going to do a different sequence now. We're going to work on releasing the back. So if you've got tight lower back issues or just a sore lower back in general, these few exercises that we're going to show you here, I use the word exercise, but traditionally a yoga posture is called a asana. So bear with me, I like to use normal terminology for people, but what we're working is the lower back area to get the lumbar part of the spine, so all across here and the hips, to just release a little and allow you some more flexibility. Now, I've got a men's class that I do, and my average age of the men in my class is about 50. I do have some younger guys as well, so men in their sort of late 30s to sort of mid 60s have come to me. Some of them are farmers. These guys work really hard. They have very physically intensive jobs, and they all came when they first started with lower back issues. Their movement was very restricted. They had a lot of pinching going on in their lower back, and they just pushed through during the day. They were just getting the job done. But what we discovered was, in the weakness of their lower back, they were doing a lot of lifting, and their shoulders were getting sore and tense and tight because all of the weight and all of the strength that they were requiring to get their job to push through with their sore back meant that their arms had to be stronger, and their chest and their shoulders had to be stronger. And in the process of that, what happened is the belly got weaker and the lower back got weaker. So we did some activities where we were able to help them release their lower back. Now, the guys have been with me 9 weeks now. I often get comments and feedback. You'll read some of the testimonials on the webpage. That they are able to, some of the older guys are able to actually throw a ball and run with their grandkids. On the beach, they have far more flexibility and movement than they ever thought was possible, and they're only doing yoga once a week for an hour. So don't discount the simplicity of these movements, is what I'm saying. The body responds in different ways for different people, but the beauty of these again is that even if you're a beginner or you're starting in a place of injury, just consult your doctor to make sure or your healthcare professional to make sure it's okay if you've got a back injury that you can be doing these kinds of postures. Happy for them for you to show them the video sequence. And if they're okay with you doing that, then just bear in mind, pause where your limitations tell you to. Listen to what your body says. Yoga is not a competitive sport. The only person it is a nurturing practice. So it's not about pushing through and getting the knee to the floor or getting the greatest stretch or the biggest lunge, or it's not about that, guys. It's about listening to your body and allowing it, whatever the limitation is at the time, breathing into that limitation, allowing oxygen to the muscle that feels tight and getting it to relax in what you're asking for it to do. That's how we strengthen, that's how we tone, and that's how we nurture. All right, so Sarah's been waiting patiently, so I'll stop talking now and we'll get into it. So Sarah has her knees bent, her feet are together, she has her arms out by her sides, palms facing down. This helps ground us. And what we're going to do is ignore Sarah's phone ringing in the background and we're going to go and start with our first lot of hip rolls. So this is a gentle hip roll. So Sarah, if I can just get you to roll the hips to the left, standing opposite side. Now what she's done here is she's kept the feet together. So her right foot has come off the ground in order to achieve that. The knees have come down. The shoulder blades are both still on the ground, and she's releasing the lower part of the back here, okay? So what I want you to do when you're doing this is I want you to close your eyes, allow the body to go as far as it will. If your knees don't come to the ground yet, that's okay, work with that. But just allow yourself to feel the movement and use the breath to relax into it. Now, sometimes what's happening is we're really tight in this area, or we feel quite weak in this area, which then leads us to feeling a soreness. So when you feel that way, what I want you to do is, or what will happen with the body is sometimes as you move, you can come back to the center for me now, Sarah. As you move, your body will naturally tighten in resistance. Okay, so it's like the body's locking up, saying, oh, this could hurt us, please don't do that. And we can use our breath to just get the body to unlock and relax. Okay, so this requires you to close your eyes, to really focus your attention on the area that you're stretching or where that resistance is. And if Sarah could only move her legs a quarter of an inch that way without there being any pain, and then all of a sudden her body was locking up, that locking up aspect of her body is her body saying, this is as far as I'm willing to go today. Work with that, all right? There's no shame in it, and you've started the process, and you are learning what your body needs in observing these things. So when you're ready, Sarah, I want you to roll the other side for me now. So she's inhaling, and then on the exhale, she gently rolls. Can you notice here that her feet, she's got her right foot off the ground, so they're still together. She's got her shoulders down here, but her bum's come off the ground a little bit, and that's what we want to see. And she's just going to hold that there for a few breaths, using the exhale to release this area of the body here, the lumbar part of the spine. And when you're ready, come back to the center. So this is where we start. Now, this is where I start with most people who've never done yoga before. This is the first step of that back release exercise. It's a beautiful stretch, as I said, for the lumbar and the vertebrae and all the muscles throughout the sciatic and the glutes. Especially in men, they'll be really tight. So just be patient with yourself in that process. If you felt that was easy and the knees were able to come all the way to the ground on the first go, then I want to encourage you to try this one next, all right? Now, before we go into that, just a side note, in the restoration postures of releasing the back of what you just saw, for your first go, I would encourage you to do anywhere between 5 to 6 breaths, and I would encourage you to do it only once. Okay, so once on the left side, once on the right side. If you're breathing nice and slowly, 6 breaths is about 30 seconds. Okay, so in total, you've done a minute of release, and that's sometimes enough. Okay, the other thing that we can do to help release the lower back after we've done that is, if you just want to bring one knee up and then the other knee up and hold your knees to your chest for me. Yep. So she can just then gently pull her knees down towards herself and just allowing the body to release from underneath the bottom and into the lower back region there again as well. Okay, so when you're ready, placing your feet down for me again. Arms out to the side. She's keeping her arms quite level. Their palms facing down like this. They're not up here really high, and just down a little lower is okay as well. But you'll find if they're out to the side, it will help you to keep your shoulders down as you're rolling, all right? And you'll feel sometimes a really nice stretch through the armpit and the lymph gland area. And some people, depending on the tightness in their pecs, for women with larger breasts, sometimes this plays a part. You may even get a little bit of a tingling sensation in the arm, and that's the circulation moving through. But the tingling is sometimes to let you know that you've had a few blockages in there, and sometimes that's emotions that we've got stored in the body. You'll hear me talk about emotions in yoga because any blockages that we have create, any emotions that we're hanging onto in our body create pain in the body or tightness and soreness. So there's a lot in the mental and emotional aspect of yoga as well, but for the time being, we're just going to focus on particular angles and correct technique for asanas. So the next one that we're going to do, Sarah's going to lift her legs up into a right angle position for me. So notice that she would be feeling that she's on her tailbone here. She's got this nice right angle happening. Her hands and her palms are going to help support her as she gently rolls to the left. She's going to keep her legs bent and her knees together as much as possible. Now Sarah's got quite flexible at this, so the knees are coming all the way to the floor, but the feet aren't touching the floor. And we're just going to gently breathe here. Sarah's shoulders are nice and flat and down nice and level. She's got her eyes closed so she can focus her energy and her attention to the area of the back that she's stretching and getting to release. And then we're going to inhale once more. And on the exhale, we're going to come back to the center. Perfect. We're going to hold here. Now I like to get my students to then lift their legs up nice and straight Straightening the knees, a relaxed foot. A flexed foot is good, but a relaxed foot is fine. Because this then helps those tummy muscles that you're working when you're rolling to hold the legs in the air. The quads get a nice workout. My guys in the guy class, the men's class that I do, the backs of the knees get a nice stretch, the hamstrings get a nice stretch. And sometimes the guys actually find, and some of the girls, that they can't get their legs past here, and so their tummies are getting a heck of a workout because their hamstrings aren't that flexible yet. We do involve straps, and we'll talk about straps to help the flex and the stretch, but ultimately what we're wanting to see is this nice right angle with the legs straight up, the body nice and flat. Okay, so we want to hold that position there for about 4 or 5 breaths, and then we want to bring the knees down again into that bent right angle position. Thank you. And the same again, she's going to inhale and then exhale. She's going to roll to the right. So notice that her shoulders are staying nice and flat on the ground. She's got a nice stretch happening through here. The bottom will be getting a stretch. Even sometimes the top of the thigh can get a stretch. It's varying for different people. But ultimately, what we are seeing here is that her feet are staying together, her knees are staying together, and she's relaxing into that posture. Okay, now the first few times that you'll do that, you'll listen to me and go, relaxing, you've got to be kidding me. And that's fairly normal, okay? But it is about focus, all right? So if you close your eyes and you concentrate on your breath, you can get the muscles to relax. They will stop fighting you. However, sometimes the fight is self-preservation. So like I said before, if you get to a point where it's tense and you can feel that it could potentially hurt if you go any further, then stop. Don't make yourself hurt yourself. You want to be really kind in the process of allowing this lumbar release. And then when we inhale on the last one, we want to use the exhale to bring the legs back to the center. And lifting the legs up nice and straight. And Sarah's really good. She knows how to adjust herself to get the most for her body. Allow that to happen, guys. You know, sometimes you'll be watching yoga instructors do certain postures and you never see them adjust themselves. It's okay if you need to. We want you to be comfortable in the way that you're holding your asanas. And gently release, bend the knees. And bringing the feet all the way down. All right. So that is just a very gentle back release. Again, we started in that very beginner phase where you have limited movement or you've had a back injury, so you're going to keep the feet together. We're going to seek a medical opinion before you do it, all right? And then gently roll left, take a breather in the center, and right, working around the 5 to 6 breath mark. Nice, slow, deep breaths, even inhale, even exhale. If you're feeling good with that and you'd like to try the bent knees, it does work the tummy muscles a little more. It does help build strength in the lower back. And always okay for you to bring the knees to the ground. That's the goal, but we want to keep the feet off the ground just to keep that core engaged a little bit. So that will be all that we'll do in this particular sequence. I'm going to show you an extension version of that in the next one. Namaste, class.